Hello, welcome to my channel, Nomadic Horizon Adventures. My name is Raymond, and yes, so today's video is to talk about the sacrifices that you might be making as a nomad. I'll briefly talk about some of the sacrifices that I've made as a nomad, and well, I guess we'll get to it. So yeah, being a nomad is first and foremost amazing. There's a lot of trend out there, especially since the pandemic in 2025 or 2020. Let's not have another pandemic. But here in 2020, it blew up. People were traveling and all this stuff, right? But you see videos coming up here recently and quickly of people quitting van life or nomad life or RV life or whatever you want to categorize it as. Frankly, I don't care what you want to call it. It's all the same thing. It's just a different vehicle that you're in and all this stuff. Anyways, let's get back to the point. So yeah, sacrifice. When you're making a sacrifice that a lot of people don't understand is that, obviously probably the most common one of understanding. Let's start with that. That their understanding is that they're sacrificing, this big old house for this tiny little space. For two people, maybe just one person and a dog, or a couple dogs, or a couple cats, or whatever. And it really just depends on how much they're willing to sacrifice in order to be able to travel and live the glamorous nomad lifestyle. Well, let's be real, for those who do live it, pooping in a bucket is not glamorous at all. I've done it. It's not fun. But guess what? When you have to do it, you got to do it. Or when you really need a bathroom really bad and you got to go, take a poop. Well, guess what? Get a shovel, dig a hole, make it happen, be done with it, cover it up. I recommend only doing that if you absolutely cannot find a bathroom of any kind, but it is what it is. I'm sure at one point or another, most people have done it. But with that being said, you do sacrifice, your comfort to travel, and it's great. You can see a lot of stuff. You can do a lot of things. You can meet a lot of people, which in the last video that I just got done posting, I talked about making friendships on the road, and I do that because it can be either good or bad. I've had some good ones. I've had some bad ones. I've had some rotten ones. And if you haven't watched that video, go back, check it, watch it, feel special, and then come back and let me know that it made you feel special, and let you know that I'm glad that you are here. So moving on. So sacrifice, living as a nomad, that sense of security, living in a vehicle is definitely something of choice to do, and it's not for everybody. You really do have to want to do it to do it. Sacrifice. Hi, Lacey. By the way, this is my 4-month-old kitten, Lacey, who is very active at the moment. Who is really wanting me to play with her. But so sacrifices. Sorry, I need to just focus on the video. Anyways, so sacrifice. First and foremost, you may sacrifice friendships. I know I did. I lost people that I was friends with when I told them that I was a nomad, and they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna be a nomad. You're gonna, be homeless and all that other stuff." I got to see their true colors and how they treat people, and she's just rambunctious today. But point being is that living that lifestyle, and you really get to see colors of people, like the true color or the true side of a person, by telling them you're a nomad, you're traveling, you're living out of your vehicle, living the lifestyle, and the sacrifice you're making for your friendships are at the point where you could hang on. Will you? Sorry. My cat is seeking attention. All right, and we are resumed on the video. So sorry about that. Let's get back into the video. So sacrifice. You definitely have to remember that people aren't always going to agree with you. People aren't going to want to be around you. I think people tried to be around me, but then when they realized like I was actually serious about doing it, guess what? Gone. And that's okay, because I've made way better friends and better, good-hearted people to be in my life. And yeah, I think that's a sacrifice. It was a good one to make. Besides the whole, luxury for comfort or comfort for luxury and all that kind of stuff, regarding security, it can be scary living in a vehicle, especially if you're living in a parking lot or just camping out at a parking lot. I know some nomads who just won't do it. They absolutely refuse to stay at a Walmart parking lot or anywhere really in a city because they don't feel safe, or they need that nature, and that's great. That's good for them. But you do sacrifice the luxuries of having a big open space, going down to just a 6-foot bed, where that's it. That's all the space you get. But depending on who you are and how your personality is, like for me, I've kind of just sacrificed being social and being isolated in my own world, so to speak, and really just focusing on the idea that I'm just going to be alone. My kitten that was just running around and all that, that's probably the most social interactive I've had of having of someone living with me while being a nomad. Not necessarily being in a house, being compared to being in a vehicle. Lacey hasn't been in a vehicle yet, and that's going to be a very interesting thing to see how she reacts and slowly get her into doing that. But you sacrifice your comfort when doing this lifestyle. I think I've said that too many times. Anyways, moving on. But yeah, things are not as available to you as you would like them to be while you're on the road. You may need a signal, you may need gas, you may need a hamburger, a burrito, you might need water. You don't have running water, and you gotta think about that kind of stuff. You gotta put that stuff into thought to put that in your rig and have that available, because we all need water, right? So, but sacrifices, for some people just aren't willing to make sacrifices. For example, showers every day. When you become a nomad, you are not showering every day. It just doesn't happen. Unless you specifically set it up for it to happen, then great. Otherwise, it's just not happening. You gotta deal with it. You gotta move on. Get some baby wipes. You'll be fine. Eventually get to a shower, of course. And that's just a sacrifice that some people are not willing to make. Another sacrifice is job opportunity. When you are living this nomad lifestyle, you can still get a 9-to-5 job. You can work in an office. You can run a business. You can do all kinds of stuff. But some people who are hardwired into the system may not want to do it because they may look bad pulling their rig into a parking lot at work, and then people seeing it and it's like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? You live in your vehicle? Like, I work a 9-to-5 job, whatever, and people see my video, my vehicle, and I'm like, yeah, I got solar panels on it, so what? They're like, well, why? I was like, oh, I just have it so I go camping. It's really none of their business. But for some people, that's, that's uncomfortable. Whatever, And You know, it is what it is. So just, you know, if you're going to go into this lifestyle, remember that you are going to be making sacrifices, and essentially you are going to be giving up things that you never thought you'd be giving up. For my fellow nomad friends out there, what are some of the things that you've given up by becoming a nomad? Leave them in the, you know, leave your comments in the comment section below. I love to hear about it. I love to have a discussion about it. You know, maybe we can do a live or something, and we can all, you know, get together and talk about it. Love to hear, you know, what what you think you would have to give up in order to live the nomad lifestyle. You know, would you give up certain things in order to do it? You know, to say that you can live on the road and see beautiful things, but also deal with the nitty-gritty that happens every single day. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Here's another lovely video that's here on the channel. If you haven't checked out my other videos, go check them out. Love the support. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. It means the world. And that's it. Bye.